I mean, first of all, how did you pull that off?
Secondly,
wouldn't it feel like to not just win a trophy, but to know that you denied United a second treble? They would have been the first team to do 2 trebles as well.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, we weren't bothered about United doing the treble or not. We just, we was in the FA Cup semi-final. All we was concentrating on was our agenda, But now you mention it, of course, it's nice to know that you hindered their progress a little bit.
So the Club World Cup is coming up soon, Glenn, and Chelsea are in it. Chelsea are looking to win it for the first time. Obviously, they failed in 2012. They got to the final, lost to Corinthians, Paulo Guerrero. But this time they're out to get it. And what would winning it be for Thomas Tuchel's legacy? Obviously, they've already won the Champions League. They're in the made it to the final. Obviously, lost the FA Cup final, but they're in the. They make it to the EFL Cup final, which is soon after this, and they got the Club World Cup final. I mean, this guy just keeps winning trophies. What would it mean for him to win? I mean, to win another one, to win the one that they haven't got as well.
I think that's certainly got to be the one that they're targeting. This guy's a serial winner. He's put a fantastic side together, and like you say, it's one of those trophies that they haven't got their hands on, and maybe should have done in the past. But they're tricky because Chelsea will always be favourites. But for these teams, they know how to play football. There's some fantastic, we might not know the players as well as we do at domestic leagues, but they're all super comfortable on the ball, normally quick and strong. So, and sometimes playing against good players that you don't know is harder than playing against the good ones that you do know.
I mean, they're all champions, right? They all won their Champions Leagues to get there. So
exactly. So they're no pushovers. You're not used to watching them week in, week out. So of course, Chelsea should be favourites, but I don't think it's going to be easy.
How impressed with Tuchel are you in general in what he's done at Chelsea and what he's done to the Premier League and the Champions League?
I'm super impressed, to be honest. When he first came in, he had a pretty relatively easy start, winning games that you should have probably been winning. Yeah. But then after that, he had a few big matches that came up where he really got my attention, and I thought, this guy is like the real deal. And then I've been there for a few times to watch him, and his energy and his passion on the side is like, you can see it leaking into the players on the pitch.
He kicks every ball, doesn't he? Really, really goes for it. See, it's interesting because we've got proliferation of Bundesliga influences in the Premier League right now. Where would you rank him in comparison? Obviously, with Klopp, with Hasenhüttl, we've got other guys. Thomas Frank obviously came from Europe as well, not Bundesliga. But where would you rank him in terms of that? Those guys, the Bundesliga cohort, as it were.
Well, you'd have to say he's up there. I don't think anyone could really disagree if you picked him or Klopp as being, the best sort of addition. But, they both done fantastic jobs. Both got fantastic teams. They've got the clubs into good positions, and they're going deep in nearly every competition. So, I think it'd be a brave man to choose between the two.
They're both great, aren't they? We're glad to have them in the Premier League, that's for sure. But speaking of Chelsea, obviously to win the Club World Cup, if they do it, which you'd have to hope they will. If they do, this is the last trophy they've won. So what would it mean for the club to just complete the trophy collection, as it were, really complete it?
Look, I think it'd be in truth, I think Roman would swap it for the Premier League now. I think, but it's still a fantastic trophy, and like you say, even for the players themselves, it's another medal that nobody has played for Chelsea has got. So like I say, they've been in and around the medals forever, but this is the one that's got away from them. So I'm pretty sure that they'd be doing whatever they can to tick this one off.
I mean, Spilicueta's got pretty much everything else, isn't he? This would be the final one in his collection. But speaking of Roman, you mentioned him there. Obviously, you were the first signing for money, I think, for Chelsea under his. I think 2 guys were right before you on free transfers, but you were the first, 6 million, I think it was, back in the day. So, how did he sell Chelsea to you back then? Did you meet him? Did you, what was his vision back then of the project? Because, I mean, we're coming up on 20 years now of Abramovich next year.
Yeah.
It's going to be, and they've won, we said it there, they've won literally everything since then. Yeah. He's made them one of the dominant forces in English football. But how did he sell it to you way back then, back in 2003 at the inception of it all?
To be honest, so I didn't meet Roman. I heard of interest, obviously, through my agent stuff, and obviously I was, I was a young kid, as you know. So I was still quite new to the game, so I didn't really, obviously, I knew a big owner had taken over the club, but I didn't really see what I didn't know the sort of vision. My agent said there's going to be a lot of big names that follow me through the door.
Yeah.
But as a young kid that was just broken into Premier League, I was just over the moon that I got the interest of someone like Chelsea. So. Yeah. Of course, I knew some of the names that were going to be following me through. So I just thought, well, look, they're already a fantastic side. So, if all these names are coming, then, we look like we're going to be winning something. So, of course, I didn't really have to think twice. And then what he done afterwards and what he done for the club was amazing. And to be honest, he changed the Premier League. Everyone had to change the way they done transfers, and he really did mould it into what it is today, I think.
Oh, yeah. I mean, his arrival really just upped the ante. The transfer market was starting to settle down again after United had paid all that money for, what was it, Van Nistelrooy and Varane, and then along comes Abramovich. It's like, boom, whole thing up another level. Yeah, I mean, it's not been the same since. But we mentioned Azpilicueta there. How good a signing has he been for Chelsea? Because obviously he came in and he was meant to be a flying right back, and it sort of never happened. And then he became a defensive left back, and then he moved back to right, and he's a centre back. And now he's a captain, and he's won it. How good a signing has he been for Chelsea, would you say?
I think he's been fantastic. Like I said, I don't think he's the player that they was trying to sign, if you know what I mean, in terms of a flying fullback. But he's super versatile. He's a super pro. He doesn't moan when he's not playing. But he plays anywhere along the back four, back three. And I think players like that are hard to come by. He might not be the most exciting fullback in terms of flying forward and doing what some others are doing, but he would certainly do a job. What you're going to get out of him, and he's been around for ages, and like you said, he's won pretty much everything there is to win. So I think those players you've got to be careful of losing. That experience is not easy to get, and you can tell.
I was going to say, so would you ensure you renewed him then? Because Chelsea obviously right now it's at an impasse, isn't it? Is he going to stay or is he going to go? You'd make sure you got it done.
I would, yeah, because the thing is, especially when Rudiger and Christensen haven't been sorted yet. And like I say, yes, you can go and sign another player, but you can't sign a player with that experience who's going to be happy around the camp. Because look, he's not going to play as much as he wants. But most players will kick their toys out of pram, whereas this guy doesn't, So I just think for the dressing room, I think he'd be good to be around the youngsters as well.
Yeah. He's a great leader. There's a reason I think like even Barcelona want him, even though Barca don't really need him, because obviously him and all those young players they've got. Where would you, in terms of Chelsea's Club World Cup hopes, would you say Reece James or his availability, if he's not going to be available, is that going to be a real problem for them to overcome clubs like, for example, Palmeiras, right? Are they Chelsea's biggest threat, would you say, in this Club World Cup?
I'd guess so. There's a couple of teams in there I don't know too much about, but you're looking through some of their fixtures, they score a lot of goals. They're good on the ball, like I said before. These sides they're capable of handling the ball in difficult situations, and they can frustrate teams. So I think they will be their biggest threat. But like I say, if Chelsea, if they perform the way we know they can, then they should be clear favourites. But it's not going to be easy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It never is easy. Again, they were favourites against Corinthians, but it's just like you said, when you have to play to your level, right? If you're not, then these are champions too. They'll catch you. And the Palmeiras obviously got that young lad Endrick, 15 years old, looks incredible. So it's going to be interesting to watch. Looking at the time, obviously it's coming up now. It's February. We're coming into the run-in now. We're almost at the run-in, as it were. Squeaky bum time, as Sir Alex once called it. Winning a trophy. If Chelsea win this Club World Cup, could that be a springboard for the rest of the season to go on and challenge the same way that? Again, you guys did that in 2005, if I recall. You won the League Cup, and then did that springboard you on? Could this and the League Cup again? Could it be the same way for Chelsea? Do you think? Yeah. Look,
everyone in and around the club loves winning trophies. Like the mood around that it brings energy and belief that that nothing else can. The earliest you can win a trophy, the better. Whether it's like you say the EFL or the World Club Cup or whatever, but I think it's going to be super hard to catch City either way. But winning these sort of trophies and getting your name on that trophy, and then real kicking into the next sort of 6 weeks, then you never know what happens.
Yeah, so you're a firm believer in the old Mourinho adage of win a trophy early as possible and carry that forward.
Yeah,
I suppose. If you look at Pep Guardiola's Man City, they've been rampant in the League Cup, and it's really helped them, hasn't it? So
yeah, well, look, you can the League Cup, you can win a trophy by February.
Yeah,
and you can only need to play what I'm guessing 6 games,
6 or 7
games, 6. Yeah, so So any of these top 3 teams are capable of winning 6 games, and you're February winning a trophy, then it's perfect, right?
You've already got a good season. You can get on to be a great season. But
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the thing, because Chelsea's ambitions will be high. Obviously, they'll want to retain the Champions League. They want to even maybe try and peg City back in the league, although that may be a bit difficult, but you never know. I mean, stranger things are definitely happening in football. That I mentioned that because obviously no English club has done a continental double, European, won the league title and the Europa Cup at the same time since Man United did it in 2008 when they had that great side with Rooney, Ronaldo, Tevez, all them guys. But that team should have won a treble, but they lost in the FA Cup to Portsmouth, and you were part of that Portsmouth side. So I was going to ask you, what did it feel like first of all, how did you pull that off? Secondly, what did it feel like to not just win a trophy, but to know that you denied United a second treble? They would have been the first team to do 2 trebles as well.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, we weren't bothered about United doing the treble or not. We just, we was in the FA Cup semi-final. All we was concentrating on was our agenda, But now you mention it, of course, it's nice to know that you hindered their progress a little bit. But look, the thing is, that side we had was a proper side. It wasn't a fluke. We was a bloody good side. So we had players that everyone went on to play for Liverpool, Real Madrid, Inter Milan. We had some good players.
You had Carnu, the legend.
Yeah, exactly. Carnu. We had Sol Campbell, David James, Defoe, Crouchy. It's a good side. So we all knew going to Old Trafford was going to be a very hard game. But at the same time, we knew we had nothing to lose. All the pressure was on them. They're the home side. They're the big club, if you like. So we just went and enjoyed it, and obviously we got the job done.
So we'll close it out, this bit out with a fan question for a fan on Twitter. And he asks, have you ever considered that your style of play suggests being a founder of the English marauding fullback, pushing forward in the late 2000s that come to set the template for players like Trent and Reece James? Obviously, we spoke about Kyle Walker, Kieran Trippier, all those guys. Yeah,
well, I was definitely one of the earlier guys that wanted to get forward and attack. Probably the era before me, it was all about defending and standing in position and just sitting back and almost playing like 4 centre-backs. But I never saw football that way. I think you are probably the era where we sort of changed it slightly. But we proved then that was the right thing to do, because now everyone's trying to do it, But at the time when we was doing it, it was like, well, they're saying you're out of position and this and that. Well, you're not, because your position changes depending on where the ball is.